so strong, reading so beautifully, as I wallahi really enjoyed praying behind them both. May Allah Azza wa Jal honor and bless and preserve every single one of them. Ameen. Today, my brothers and my sisters, in a short reminder, some of the verses that we read tonight were from Surah Luqman. Luqman, my beloved brothers and sisters, and this is the stronger view, he wasn't actually a prophet, as many may think. He was actually a righteous man, who some say, like Ibn Kathir and others, he was an Abyssinian carpenter, Najjar. And despite that, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned him in his noble Quran. That one would have to reach such a high level of righteousness to be mentioned amongst the prophets, to have a whole chapter named after him. Allahu Akbar. Like when you think about it as well, my brothers and my sisters, people who live righteous lives in today's day and age, aren't they given a good mention? Aren't they spoken about positively? It could be someone, subhanAllah, that doesn't have much knowledge, but he's always hanging around with the people of knowledge or the people of righteousness, but people mention him positively. Am I correct to say that? What's the evidence for it? Look at Surah Al-Kahf, who they refer to as the 7 sleepers. Amongst them, a dog was mentioned. Ibn al-Qayyim rahimahullah ta'ala in his kitab Miftah Dar al-Sa'ada, which lists the benefits of knowledge, he mentions this. That subhanAllah, because this dog used to hang around with these righteous individuals who ran away with their religion, he was given a mention as well. We hear at times, subhanAllah, so-and-so is always with that sheikh. That's a positive mention. And it could be someone who's hanging around with drug dealers, but he's not a drug dealer himself, but he also gets a similar mention. And that's because he's always with those drug dealers. Can't distinguish between the two. وَالصَّاحِبُ سَاحِبُ وَالصَّاحِبُ سَاحِبُ. Your friend, your close companionship is going to drag you to what he may be upon. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala named a whole chapter after Luqman al-Hakim, the wise Luqman. And Allah Azza wa Jalla tells us, وَإِذْ قَالَ لُقْمَانُ لِابْنِهِ وَهُوَ يَعِظُهُ يَا بُنَيِّ أو يَا بُنَيَّ لَا تُشْرِكْ بِاللَّهِ. When Luqman began to advise his son, he began to remind him, right? This, my brothers and my sisters, we can turn a whole muhadara into it. The fact that this parent is giving all of these advices, this whole page is an advice that the father, Luqman, was giving to his son. This tarbiyah from a very, very young age. I've come across too many examples, my brothers and my sisters. When you say to a parent, look, your daughter is doing this. Yes, she's only maybe 8 years of age or 9 years of age. The father may turn around and say, Akhi, she's still a kid. Or he's still a kid. Don't worry, when he gets older, he'll be fine. You know the English people, they have a saying. You know what the saying is? You can't teach an old dog new tricks. Am I correct to say that? Sahih? You can't teach an old dog new tricks. He's become so old in age, in his 20s, this is when he starts advising, when he's lived his life all of these years upon a certain way. There's a reason why the Messenger ﷺ said, teach your kids the salah from which age? The age of 7. Right? And likewise the siyam, fasting. They are nurtured upon it from a very young age. And sometimes you don't need to say anything, because kids, they are visual learners. Wallahi, kids, as young as 1.5, 2 years of age, they begin to pray. Wallahi al-azim. Not because you start teaching them how to go up and down, no. They are just watching their parents. And they're praying from a very young age. While at the same time, there are 2-year-old kids that know how to switch on YouTube. Without any exaggeration whatsoever. And that is because we show them. 2 years of age or 3 years of age, they know how to open Hannah and, what's the other one called? Hannah and Umar, son. Or Peppa Pig. They're watching the Khinzir from a young age. And they grow up, what? Normalizing it. Right? I've been watching Khinzir all my life, it's fine. Later on, الشاهد من الكلام from a very, very young age, my brothers and my sisters, العلم في الصغر كالنقش بالحجر. As Hassan al-Basri would say, knowledge from a young age is like what? Carving into stone. Wallahi, when I fell off and we moved to London, doing all sorts of crazy stuff, the advices that the parent used to give at a young age used to play on the back of my mind. I never forgot it. Despite living a very awful life, and then eventually moved back to Leicester. But the point is, these advices that you may think is not a big deal, it plays on one's mind as he's growing up. It's there instilled. Right. So they watch, and likewise, as they grow older, the advices that used to give them every now and again, it plays on their minds. I'm going to quickly mention this, my brothers and my sisters. Right? My brothers and my sisters, my respectful uncles and aunties who are listening. Once upon a time, we would say to our children, make sure you don't hang around with so-and-so when you go outside. Am I correct to say that? And rightfully so. All of us remember this. How many could our younger siblings and children, sons and daughters run into in terms of how many people that they could engage with? Maybe 30, maybe 40, maybe 50, sah? We would say, stay away from so-and-so, he is really bad. And we thought that this was the only way that our children may become corrupted. The only way. As long as he's not hanging around with bad people, he's doing wonderful. My brothers and my sisters. The world has changed now. It could be that a child is in between those four walls of the bedroom with these gadgets that we have handed over to them, and they have access to people and friends that the mind can't imagine. Wallahi al-Azim. More people that they have access to than if they were to go outside for 6 or 7 hours to school. That's why they call it Facebook friends. Friends. Right? These gadgets, and I understand, my brothers and my sisters, sometimes we hand it over to them because we feel bad. If I don't give it to him, he will feel that he's being deprived. All of his friends have it. I understand that. But my brothers and my sisters, it comes with a huge responsibility. The Messenger sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said in a hadith, لا تزول قدم عبد حتى يسأل عن أربعين. One's feet on Yawm al-Qiyamah will not move until he is asked about 4 things. And one of them is how he earned his money and what he spent it on. Also, the verse that we've all memorized, ثُمَّ لَتُسْأَلُنَّ يَوْمَئِذٍ عَنِ النَّعِيمِ. What surah is that? Our uncle, Surah Takathur. Right? You will be asked about your blessings. You know how the Messenger sallallahu alayhi wa sallam explained this? He said the blessing here is al-aswadan, the 2 black things. Water and dates. That which we eat and consume in the month of Ramadan. If we're going to be asked about that, my brothers and my sisters, we're not going to be asked about the phone that we hand over to them. I understand you have to, or you feel like, otherwise they will feel as if they are missing out. But it comes with a responsibility. It comes with a huge responsibility. For us to know what they are doing with these gadgets. So very, very quickly, my brothers, I know I digressed a little bit, but Luqman, he begins to advise his son, Ya bunayya la tushrik billah. The greatest advice that he starts with, O son, do not commit a shirk. Do not associate partners with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And shirk in a nutshell, my brothers and my sisters, musawatu ghayri Allah billahi ma haqqullah. This is the major, right? To make an equal for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Whether it may be that we pray to other than Allah, or we fast for other than Allah, or we start making dua to other than Allah Azza wa Jal, because the dua will be better. And then you have the minor, which is to show off in our acts of worship. Right? The Messenger sallallahu alayhi wa sallam in a hadith narrated by Ibn Majah, hadith Mahmud ibn Labidi said, إِنَّ أَخْوَفُ مَا أَخَافُ عَلَيْكُمْ. That which I fear the most for you is الشرك الأصغر, the minor shirk. So they asked, what is it? He said, Al-Riya, to show off. People tend to always ask, it's a very common question, how do I know if I'm being sincere? When I'm doing acts of worship, people always ask this question. The answer that I always give is, before the act, while the act is going on, and when you finish, always ask yourself, did I really do that for the sake of Allah? Or did I come Taraweeh today to impress my friends, or to impress my dad, or mom? To show them how much of a wonderful individual I am? Or was it solely for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? When mom and dad, they walk into the bedroom and you are praying in a very flat way, and then you start fixing it up because they're watching. Am I doing it for Allah, or am I doing it for the creation? And then the advice that he gives my brothers and my sisters after that, he says, إِنَّ الشِّرْكَ لَظُلْمٌ عَظِيمٌ. Indeed, shirk is indeed a very serious crime. وَوَصَّيْنَا الْإِنسَانَ بِوَالِدَيْهِ حَمَلَتْهُ أُمُّهُ وَهْنًا عَلَى وَهْنٍ. And I'm going to finish with this. We have indeed advised the insan, the human being, with regards to his parents. With regards to his parents. حَمَلَتْهُ أُمُّهُ وَهْنًا عَلَى وَهْنٍ. His mother carried it. وهن على وهن, أي مشقة على مشقة, hardship after hardship, difficulties after difficulties. Right. وفصاله في عامين. And for 2 long years, nurturing, breastfeeding, going through sleepless nights, my brothers and my sisters, أن اشكر لي ولوالديك إلي المصير. So that you may be thankful to me and also your parents. Ibn Abbas radiallahu ta'ala anhuma, the Mufassir of the Quran, the cousin of the Messenger sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, he says 3 things. They are connected to 3. If you don't do one, the other won't be accepted. And then he mentioned these 2 things that were mentioned. If you are giving the rights of Allah, but you're not giving the rights of your parents, he says it won't be accepted from you. Imagine that. It's not a light matter. Right. And then look what Allah Azza wa Jalla says. وإن جاهداك على أن تشرك بي ما ليس لك به علم فلا تطعهما وصاحبهما في الدنيا معروفا. If your parents now strive against you, they try to pull you away from Islam, and do not obey them. However, you should still be good to them in the matters of the dunya. You know the example that always strikes me, my brothers and my sisters, I've mentioned already a couple of times this Ramadan, was a reflection that I had. Ibrahim alayhi salatu wasalam, my brothers and my sisters' father, was he a Muslim? Right? In fact, he was an idol worshipper. He was the one that was organizing these celebrations for idol worship. Right? He was a disbeliever. And despite that, what we learn in Surah Maryam, how was Ibrahim alayhi salatu wasalam speaking to his father who was not a Muslim? Who was carrying out the worst possible crime, and that is what the shirk. Can anyone tell me, how was he referring to him? How was he addressing him? Ya abati, ya abati, ya abati, ya abati. Oh father, oh father, oh father, oh father. 4 times. I connected this to a verse in Surah As-Safat, I believe. Right? You know this concept of what goes around comes around. We've all heard of it. We used to hear it in primary school. Sah? It's not just a nursery rhyme, brothers and sisters. In fact, the Quranic concept mentioned multiple times. When Allah Azza wa Jal showed Ibrahim alayhi salatu wasalam in a dream that he had to slaughter his own son. You know the famous story. He even put him down, ready to carry out, because the dreams of prophets is what? Revelation, it is wahy. فَلَمَّا أَسْلَمَا وَتَلَّهُ لِلْجَبِينِ وَنَادَيْنَاهُ أَنْ يَا إِبْرَاهِيمُ قَدْ صَدَّقْتَ رُؤْيَا. He put him down. He's about to what? Carry out what was mentioned in the dream, slaughter him. And he's taken by emotion and he says, right, إِنِّي أَرَى فِي الْمَنَامِ أَنِّي أَذْبَحُ فَانْظُرْ مَاذَا تَرَى. Indeed, I can see in a dream that I'm slaughtering you. What do you think? What was the response? قال, did his son spit him in the face, or start arguing with him, or start shouting at him, start being disrespectful? Ya abati, if'al ma tuhar. Oh father, the same word they used to use for his own father was not upon Islam. Ya abati, do as you have been told. We might be sons today, but once upon a time we will become fathers to sons. And Allah is fair and just. The way you treat your parents, ad-dunya dawara, as they say, everything comes back. Everything comes back, my brothers and sisters. We're being given these instructions with regards to how to deal with a parent that is trying to get you to commit shirk, to commit disbelief. That you still have to be good to them. Mom, I can't do that. May Allah bless you. If this is the advice to non-Muslims, then how about my brothers and my sisters? Our parents who wake us up for Fajr. Or our parents who try to get us to do righteous deeds. Imagine that. Right. Yes, last night I read Surah Al-Isra and I gave them this reminder. فَلَا تَقُلْ لَهُمَا إِيش Uff. Don't say uff to them. Uff is something that you would say when something is stuck inside of your nails and you're trying to what? Get it out. Uff. It's not coming out. Let alone shouting at them, abusing them, or maybe even being violent towards them. To conclude, my brothers and my sisters, this is my favorite story, one of my favorite stories. Especially when we discuss matters related to parents. Listen up, my brothers and my sisters. Or when your parents call you and you're upstairs playing FIFA, Muhammad, come down. What? This is how one may respond. Your mom only called you because she wants you to come down. And you're like, what? You should be dropping everything that you're doing and running to your parent that is calling out to you. Abdullah ibn Umar radiallahu ta'ala anhuma, the son of Ibn Khattab radiallahu ta'ala anhu, is doing tawaf around the Kaaba. And a man who's carrying his mother on his shoulders approaches him. Allahu a'lam where that man came from. But he's carrying his mother, doing tawaf around the Kaaba. I did Umrah, my brothers and my sisters, beginning of February. This is not even Ramadan. And I did another one in the beginning of Ramadan. The one in February, wallahi, was the most difficult Umrah I've ever done. How packed it was. I was struggling. And I don't think I'm old. I don't think yet. We really struggled. One of the most difficult Umrahs. Right? Those who've gone to Umrah know how difficult it is, even when it's not packed. It can be exhausting. You've just had a long trip. This man carried his mother all the way to the Kaaba and doing tawaf. He comes to Abdullah ibn Umar and he says, هَلْ أَدَّيْتُ حَقَّهَا Have I fulfilled her rights? Have I fulfilled her rights? You know, Abdullah ibn Umar radiallahu ta'ala anhuma mentioned, وَلَا طَلْقَةٍ Not even a single talqa. You know, I came across the narration over 10 years ago, maybe 11 years ago, and I tried to look up the translation in Arabic dictionaries of what is intended by talqa. It says, alamul wilada, the pains of, right, birth. Pains? That's all I thought. I never fully internalized what talqa means until I found my wife in labor. 3 days she was in labor, first child. She wanted to have a home birth. We joke about it now. Right? Those very painful pains, this contraction, that is the translation for it. That one may have 20 times or so every hour, every couple of minutes, a pain that is unbearable. Most of you guys will only understand once your wives in the future give birth. That's only when I began to really appreciate my mother and everything that she went through. So Abdullah ibn Umar said, not even a single contraction, وَلَكِنَّكَ أَحْسَنْتَ, but you've done amazing. وَاللَّهُ يُثِيبُ عَلَى الْقَلِيلِ كَثِيرًا. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will reward you immensely for something small. Carried his mother from his hometown or wherever he came from, and then he don't do up and he saying to them, you just, yeah, it's fine. Right? And Allah will give you a lot for something small. Allahu Akbar. Every single one of us, my brothers and my sisters here, if your parent is alive, today when we go home, we're going to kiss them on their foreheads. Every single one of us. Let them ask what's gone on with this guy. Why is he behaving like that? Let them ask this question today. When's the last time, my brothers and my sisters, we said thank you to our parents from the bottom of our hearts? Not when they've done something, but just, Mom, thanks for everything you've done for me. Or Dad, for everything that you've done for me. Thank you. Jazakallahu anna kull khair. May Allah Azza wa Jalla bless and reward our parents. I just want to thank the administration of the masjid again, our elders, our imams. It's the first time I've led here. I ask Allah Azza wa Jalla to honor every single one of them and to bless every single one of you as well, coming here on a weekday, going through the Taraweeh. Many of you are going to come back for Qiyam as well on a weekday while you have work and you have school. Jazakumullahu kulla khair. Subhanakallahumma bihamdik. Ashhadu an la ilaha illa anta astaghfiruka wa atubu ilayk. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.